What's going on, guys, and welcome to today's video. Today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be mastering a 2-track song. So in our last video, what we did was pretty much mix the vocals into the 2-track, and now what we're going to be doing is pretty much mastering the whole song as one complete project. But before we get into it, I just want to remind you guys to make sure you guys hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you guys stay up to date with the videos that I'm going to be releasing. So the song we're going to be working with is called Be Your Last by the official Izzy, and it's produced by, I don't want to say the guy's name because I'm probably going to say it wrong, but the beat's really good. I'm going to play the beginning for you guys so you guys get a feel of how the song is. I'm actually going to turn off all the plugins on the mastering chain, and we're just going to go one by one, and I'm going to show you guys pretty much why you want to add these plugins and what they do. So
first things first, I'm new to this. I can't help it, I'm pursuing this. Just the way you make me feel, make it hard for me to deal. When we vibe, it feels so real. Scratch a snack, you a whole meal. Girl, just spend some time with me. Let me know just how you feel. Cause I'm trying to make you mine. I know it's gonna take some time, but you've been up on my mind. I can't help it, you're a dime. Girl, you know you're just my type. Let me love you oh so right. All them bozos in the past, they just couldn't treat you right.
So that's pretty much the beginning of the song right there, or half of the song. And as you could tell, I'm hitting -4.5. And usually when you master a song, you want to be hitting around -6. But since we're doing both the mixing and the mastering, it's okay to push everything a little bit higher than normal. If I just mix it and I was gonna send it off to some guy to master the song, then yeah, I'll try to hit -6. That way he has enough headroom. But since we're doing everything, you know, both the mixing and the mastering, it's okay to push the volume up a little bit. So to get started, the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to EQ it. And the first EQ I chose is a stock Logic Pro X EQ. It's a vintage tube EQ. And all I did was just use a preset in the mix bus called Master Shine. Just this one EQ adds so much. So it's pretty much sending the signal into it, the tube EQ, and then obviously it boosts the low 3 dB. It boosts some of the highs and as well as some of the mids. So I'm going to play it and then I'm going to turn it on so you guys can hear the difference.
First things first, I'm new to this.
This is off.
I can't help it, I'm pursuing this.
This is on.
Just the way you make me feel, make it hard for me to deal. When we vibe, it feels so real. Scratch a snack, you a whole meal. Girl, just spend some time with me. Let me know just how you feel.
So as you could tell, I boosted the low about 0.5 dB just because of that bass guitar. I kind of want it to pop out a little bit more, and that's just my preference. As you could tell, it just made the signal a lot cleaner. And you got to be careful with mastering because whatever you do to it, it's going to do to everything. You get what I mean? So if you're boosting the low, it's going to boost the low on every instrument as well as the vocals, and boost the highs, going to boost the highs on everything. So you got to be very subtle with everything, and you don't want to change it too much. What we're going for is just loudness and making it sound a lot cleaner and just a lot better. You know, when you do something and it sounds wrong, you know it's wrong. You know, like for example, this sounds right to me. You know, it made everything sound a lot cleaner and a lot nicer. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add this vintage console EQ. And the reason I use this one, I did the same thing. I just used the preset. It's the enhanced mix, and it's just going to bring up the low a little bit more, 3 dB, bring up the mids and as well as the highest just a little bit. And the reason I chose to use these two EQs and not just a regular stock channel EQ is for the color that these EQs are adding to the song. So pretty much each one of these EQs has a certain color. You know, it's gonna add something to the whole song in general. So pretty much I'm just grabbing the signal, sending it through the EQs. It's gonna add its color and it's gonna send it right back out. And a lot of times, like this is a pool tech, it's modeled after the pool tech, so it's gonna give you that color, that flavor of the pool tech onto your signal. So I'm gonna play the vintage EQ and then I'm gonna leave it off and then I'm gonna turn it back on so you guys can hear what it does.
First things first, I'm new to this. I can't help it, I'm pursuing this. Just the way you make me feel, make it hard for me to deal. When we vibe, it feels so real. Scratch a snack, you a whole meal. Girl, just spend some time with me. Let me know just how you feel.
So I pretty much liked how it sounds. As you could tell, I brought some of the low back up just because it's boosting it 3 dBs, but I like how it's sounding so far. I like how the mids are sounding. I like how the highs are sounding. Pretty much these two presets, when it comes to the tube EQ as well as the vintage console EQ, they always sound right when it comes to mastering. That's my preference when it comes to like rap music. I don't know how it'll sound in other genres. You guys could try it, but my main focus is trying to make this song the best. These presets work with it, so that's why I like using them. And the next thing I'm going to do is, after that I EQ'd it, I just want to compress it, but I don't want to compress it too much because I'm compressing everything together. I just want a subtle compression, and that's why when it comes to compression, I'm just using a 2-to-1 ratio, and I'm bringing the threshold down just a little bit just to get those peaks of the bass, because I don't want to squish the whole song. I want to leave the dynamics in the song, and I just want everything to be open and wide. And if I were to squish it too much, then it just makes it flat. So that's why I'm using just the C1 compressor by Waves. You're not going to really hear a difference. When you see it here, there's going to be a little red thing that comes out, and that's just pretty much the compression that's happening. So I'm going to play it, I'm turning it back on, and let's just grab the peaks.
First things first, I'm new to this. I can't help it, I'm pursuing this. Just the way you make me feel, make it hard for me to deal. When we vibe, it feels so real. Scratch a snack, you a whole meal. Girl, just spend some time.
And as you could tell, when I turned it on, it also made the signal, the sound, the quality of the song a lot cleaner also. And that's because the C1 compressor also gives it a color. It gives it a flavor. Brought up the loudness just a little bit, even though I didn't touch the gain. So a lot of times when you're running your signal through a lot of plugins, it's gonna naturally bring up the gain, so you don't have to focus and worry about, you know, since I brought the threshold down too, I have to bring it up 2 dBs or whatever, like stuff like that, you know. It does it natural. A cool trick you could do, I didn't do it with this song, but you could add like a stock EQ by Logic, and you could just go through these, and each one of these compressors is going to give you a certain color to it. My personal favorites is this vintage Feet, as well as the vintage this one, and you just want to turn the auto gain off. And if you just want the color of the certain compressor, coolest thing to do is just put the attack really slow and you put the release fast. So you want to turn off that, you want to put auto gain off, you could do a 2-to-1 compression, and then just bring the threshold down, and then I would just show you guys how to do it. You just want just a subtle compression, just where the needle is moving just a little bit, so you know the signal's running through it, getting the color, and just coming right back out. So I'm gonna do it just for the example. I'm gonna take it off because it depends how it sounds.
First things first, I'm new to this. I can't help it, I'm pursuing this. Just the way you make me feel, make it hard for me to deal. When we vibe, it feels so real. Scratch a snack, you a whole meal. Girl, just spend some time with me. Let me know just how you feel. Cause I'm trying to make you mine. I know it's gonna take some time, but you've been on.
So you see that subtle needle? It's just moving just a little bit, and that's enough just to get the color of the compression onto the signal and then just sending it right back out. So I'm probably just gonna leave it on just to keep it. The cool thing you can use is distortion, and I like leaving it on soft just because it adds like a nice sound to it. So I'll show you guys right now.
First things first, I'm new to this.
This is soft.
I can't help it, I'm pursuing this. Just the way you make me feel, make it hard for me to deal. When we vibe, it feels so real. Scratch a snack, you a whole meal.
So as you could tell, when I put the distortion on soft, it made the signal a lot louder too. So for the sake of this, I'm just gonna keep it on, and we're just gonna move on to the next thing. And the last thing I did was just pretty much use a limiter, and it's just a regular Waves limiter. But since I'm using 2 limiters because I didn't want to overwork this limiter, I just put the ceiling at -1. A lot of times you want to aim for like -3, -2, but I did a whole dB. The reason I did that is that just for you could push it a little bit more, and you know you're not going to clip. I'll just show you guys how I did it. So I'm gonna put the threshold at 0, and I'm just gonna bring down the volume. Bring down the threshold.
First things first, I'm new to this. I can't help it, I'm pursuing this. Just the way you make me feel, make it hard for me to deal. When we vibe, it feels so real. Scratch a snack, you a whole meal. Girl, just spend some time with me. Let me know just how you feel.
And as you can tell, pretty much the limiter is just making everything louder. But because I added this compressor and it's already louder, I'm just gonna bring it back just a little bit, probably just a 2 dB. I'll bring it back just a dB. And the next thing we're gonna move on to is just Ozone Elements 8. And this is optional, you don't have to use this, it's up to you. And one of the things I like doing is just using this master assist button, and then I'll show you guys. So pretty much just turn it on, push streaming, put next, play it.
First things first, I'm new to this. I can't help it, I'm pursuing this. Just the way you make me feel, make it hard for me to deal. When we vibe, it feels so real. Scratch a snag, you up on me.
When it comes to this, it is an AI, so it's gonna pretty much give you a suggestion, and as you can tell, it's boosting up the mids and it's bringing down some of the lows. Since I know this, what I'm gonna do, see, it boosted up a dB 3 and brought back the highs of dB. So instead of leaving it on like that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back to the 2B, to the vintage console EQ. I'm gonna boost it a little bit more. So because it's boosting, I'm just gonna boost it probably about 3, and I'm bring down the high. I should have played it, but it's whatever. And then, so now that we have it like this, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna use one of these presets, and my personal favorite preset is Adaptive Dynamics. You can go through these if you use Ozone 8, but I just like keeping it on Adaptive Dynamics just because it keeps the dynamics of everything. And this, as you can tell, I'm gonna put this at -3. I'm not gonna keep it at 0.1, and then I'm just gonna bring back the threshold because it is gonna be our last limiter that's gonna push everything. We want to make sure we're metering everything. And before that, I just put an S1 stereo shuffler, and that's just to widen everything out, just to push everything out, just to make the song a lot wider and a lot fuller. I would play it, but you won't really hear the difference. It's just very subtle, you know. I just pushed it up 0.15. So the last thing you want to do is just meter everything. So when it comes down to metering, I just use the stock metering. I personally measure everything on LUFS. My goal is to hit -12 LUFS, just because in streaming platforms, that's kind of like the general goal you want to aim to. That way when you upload it to like Spotify, Apple Music, etc., they're not gonna bring down the volume, they're not gonna compress it, and they're not gonna really touch the song, you know. They might just boost it a little bit or just bring it back a little bit. And I'll show you guys this cool website you guys can use. It's totally free, where you guys could check your masters before you upload it to a streaming platform, and then it's going to tell you how your song's going to sound. On the level meter, I'm just going to keep it at -1. You don't have to touch this one. This is kind of just a normal analyzer just to see everything. And LUFS is going to be -12. And I'm just going to grab the Ozone Elements 8. And I'm just going to bring down the threshold until we're hitting about -12.
First things first, I'm new to this. I can't help it, I'm pursuing this. Just the way you make me feel, make it hard for me to deal. When we vibe, it feels so real. Scratch a snag, you up on meal. Girl, just spend some time with me. Let me know just how you feel.
Pretty much now that we're hitting the loudness we want to hear, the last thing we want to do is just bounce it. And to bounce in the wave file, the best way to get the best file, the best quality, is just go to bounce, go to project or section, PCM, wave, 24-bit. You could leave this on, bounce second side is pretty much going to play the whole song, play it again, and it's going to combine them too. So just in case you have a bunch of plugins on and something messes up, when it bounces it the second time, it'll catch everything, gives pretty much all the plugins the time to warm up. In a sense, you don't have to do it, and then you're just gonna put OK, and it's gonna bounce it. So I'm gonna bounce it, and then I'll be right back. So I ended up bouncing the track, and the website we're gonna be using is www.loudnesspenalty.com. I'm gonna put the link in the description so you guys could check it out. So pretty much once you bounce it, what you want to do is you just want to grab it, drop it in here. It's gonna process the audio, and it's gonna give you pretty much how your song is gonna sound in the major streaming platforms. In the results in dB, YouTube's not going to touch it. Spotify's going to bring it up 0.9. Tidal's going to bring it down 0.7. Pandora's going to bring it up a dB and a half. And then iTunes is going to bring it up 0.1. And then if you click it and then you hit play, it's going to actually show you the difference, like how much 1.4 dB is and how much it makes a difference. So now that you know these numbers, what you could do is you could just go back to like Ozone or your limiter and just bring it up a dB. So you just bring it down probably like that, or you could just leave it back how it was and then just grab the fader and just move it back up if that's your thing. So I forgot to mention this before we bounce it, but since it's gonna be your master file, you just kind of want to leave space at the end. Just give it time so your song could die down. So we're gonna do that right now. I would say about there. That way it just gives it enough time to die down and it just goes to the second track. So you just want to highlight it and then bounce it. So that's pretty much it when it comes to mastering the song. You just want to do those steps and then check it on that website, and then you could throw it up to any streaming platform. I personally use DistroKid. If you want to upload your music to all streaming platforms, there's a link in the description so you can sign up to DistroKid. It's like 20 bucks a year, and then you could upload unlimited music and it'll be like on iTunes, Spotify, Pandora, pretty much on all major streaming platforms. So this is pretty much the end of the video. I just want to show you guys how to master a 2-track song. I'm gonna put the link to the song in the description so you guys check out the full song. The song is called Be Your Last by the official Izzy. If you have any comments, leave them in the comment section below. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Peace.